here we are.
Hello.
Okay. Hi,
Well,
Craig.
hello.
Happy
Hello to everyone.
hour.
Happy
yes,
happy hour.
Okay, I'm gonna pour now.
What are you all drinking? My opening
Well,
drink is always a Manhattan.
Solid
I typically do a very, very, very filthy, dirty martini, but we are out of vodka in our house. So I'm going to sip on a delightful rosé.
But a martini is made with gin.
Ugh, for weirdos, no. Vodka martini all the way. Because I think I like them dirty, and I think that olive juice and gin are disgusting together. I don't know. Thoughts?
I like mine with a lemon twist, but
Is that even a martini then at that point?
is vodka a martini?
No. Yes. It's
Do
a
you
vodka
use-
martini.
So do you use dry vermouth?
Yeah. Just a hit. A kiss of vermouth. You swirl it around the glass and you throw it out.
Exactly.
What do you use? I don't know. Anyway.
Well, we've introduced our drinks, or I haven't yet. I'm drinking aquavit because I'm as Scandinavian as they come. But we should introduce ourselves.
Okay. Can I introduce you?
Oh God, okay.
Okay. I would like to introduce my cool friend, awesome actress, Inga Wilson, who's playing Shelley in Grand Concourse. Cheers to your wonderful performance, Inga.
Oh wait, that didn't happen yet.
Oh, wait.
Oh wait, we have to wait.
That is true.
And I would like to introduce you, Elizabeth Helman, wonderful director extraordinaire, as well as incredible professor and performer in your own right. Your skills and talents are limitless.
She's also a good costume designer.
Wow. You guys are real nice. That's I feel I'm blushing.
You are blushing.
And yeah, I know actually I'm very shiny. I couldn't take the shine down. So everyone has to suffer through this right now, unfortunately. Should we introduce
glowing? It's
That's
a glow. It's not sweat. It's just a healthy glow.
That's true. It's that dewy, youthful skin. So
And Craig, our fearless leader, fireside, here to welcome us all.
Yes. It was a little chilly today, so I thought I'll do this in front of the fire. Had it been warmer, I might have been out next to the garden, but it was a little chilly, so.
No.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually giving me comfort, like
It's
watching
good theater weather,
The idea of watching Craig do a fireside chat, I think, is something.
I'm stealing the idea from one of our board members who keeps coming to our Zoom meetings sitting next to his fireplace. So,
like petting a dog. Like that
yes.
kind of thing. Okay.
Yeah.
I love it.
If in my lap, I'll pet the cat. But.
Yay. Well, hey, now we're all here. And hello to everybody who's watching. I hope there's lots of you watching. And you can see all our
I don't know
shiny.
if anyone's watching. Otherwise, we just get to hang out because we would have been opening Grand Concourse tonight.
That's true. Oh, no, that's the thing. And that's why we.
Yeah. We would have had a big old, like all the nerves, all the excitement putting on the show that we would have been rehearsing for the last 4 or 5 weeks. And
so
an amazing set that would have required lots and lots and lots of magic and
and
all
real
the theater
things.
magic.
Dinging microwaves and all kinds
running
of
water.
Running water, perhaps a working stove. We were a little unsure if we were going to get that or not. I want the working stove. I demand a working stove.
Well, the great thing
There's
is
something so
the
magical.
set design. The set design is done. We just need to
That's true.
Find the right space and time in the future to
Great. We'll just
put it back
hold it in my. We'll hold it in my kitchen. We can have Jeff redesign my kitchen, and we'll do it here. Be fine.
If we do make soup on stage, can we then have the audience taste it at intermission? It might be terrible. They might not want to, but.
So years ago, we did a play called
Memory House.
Memory House. Thank you. Yes.
I saw that play.
Did you? Yes. Well, it was quite wonderful. It was written by a Northwest woman writer, as I recall, or at least I first found it at the Seattle Rep, and they had nurtured the play along. And it was delightful in that you actually had to cook a blueberry pie on stage. Like the play was really just long enough to fully complete cooking a blueberry pie. And so you had this lovely aroma of blueberry pie wafting through the audience. And we sold the blueberry pies after the performances as a fundraiser.
That's cute.
Oh, fundraiser. We have a fundraiser.
Right.
That's a good
Craig, what
segment.
an amazing
Yeah.
segue, Craig.
Yeah. There's got it wrong. There's the Inspire Fund, and down nope, I still don't got it. Down there, there's the Inspire
There
Fund.
we go.
Down
Got it.
nope.
Straight down.
Down there is where you go.
Go there.
I'll just do this. Right?
That-
You're just gonna do this.
We need the lobby music back. No.
That's it's all like that. So
Yeah.
it's 5:06, and I'm on 5:06 on opening night in a show that you're in. What would you be doing, Inga?
5:06.
Mhm.
So on opening night, our call time would probably be like 6 or 6:30, depending on what all was going on.
Okay.
So at 5 o'clock, this would be the deep sweating time.
Okay.
The okay, what food can I stomach in order to get through opening night? Most likely soup and bread. And then also madly trying to put together some sort of I love everybody in the cast and crew cards, because I really appreciate a deadline. And I need that deadline in order to get it done. You would think you've got 4 weeks, you're rehearsing. You know, ultimately you are going to open a show. And yet, no. About half hour before I show up at the theater. That's when I'm getting it all done.
That's when you do your cards.
Yeah.
That's fine. And it works. Well, that's I don't want to I don't do them too soon. I mean, that's the thing. I usually do them the day before because, something hilarious, some hilarious inside joke could happen, at rehearsal the night before. You want to write that in the card. I think the cards are important. Mm-hmm. So,
I mean, should we talk more about Grand Concourse for those who would not have been in the know?
Liz, tell us a little bit about this play that you would have been opening tonight as the director.
I was and I am super excited to work on this show. And I, if you don't know, all the people out there watching, I teach at Oregon State University. So I direct a lot of shows with pretty large casts. I do a lot of summer Shakespeare, which is, again, pretty large casts, 12, 15, sometimes more. I did a very small show, actually, the last show. But then earlier this fall, I did one with 26 people, which was so the idea, and I do a lot of kind of kooky, which is fun. I love kooky and, non necessarily naturalism or realism. And one of the things I really was so excited about with the show is a very intimate cast, a small group of 4 in a very naturalistic set, as we were alluding to, with a real working kitchen, and the idea that to work on something that really deals with all of our senses and intimate relationships with people and kind of how complicated life is and people are, and concepts like forgiveness are, and whether those things are even possible in certain circumstances. And the play is, I don't want to give things away because people want to see it because it's going to be amazing. But it's funny. It's very funny at times and very upsetting. And I think I was really excited to be able to explore that entire spectrum of emotions and the human experience between these 4 characters and their very, very complicated and sometimes kind of ugly relationships with each other. So. That was
there's at least one character that I don't know why I'm echoing. That I think some Eugenians might at least recognize their name.
Oh yes. And Craig would probably speak more about the playwright because you do actually know the playwright from personal experience. So, but Heidi, who wrote the show, was in Eugene. Did she grow up in Eugene?
No, she grew up in Wenatchee.
Okay.
And she went to school here in Eugene. And she did some writing while she was in school. Mostly she focused on acting.
Mhm.
She's a brilliant actor. And I guess I realized how amazing of a writer she was becoming when I was at a workshop about 12 years ago now. And independently, both the artistic director for Yale Repertory Theater and for the New York Theater Workshop, when we got onto the subject of talking about Heidi, said, "Oh, and by the way, you know, she's really a brilliant writer." And I thought, if these people know she's a brilliant writer, her career is going to take off, and indeed it did.
Yeah. No, the play is fantastic, and it takes place in a Brooklyn soup kitchen on the Grand Concourse, headed by a nun played by Inga Wilson.
Grand Concourse is a reference to Bronx, New York. So it's set at a soup kitchen at a church in the Bronx.
Yeah. And actually, like doing the working with Jeff and our scenic designer and his research too. I mean, he was trying to find, he's great. He was trying to find the actual building that it probably was, and like was looking up Google Maps and sending me pictures of the play. It was so cool. It was like, you know, so the idea like this is a world that is a very real world for people to live in, and then one that I think we're all committed to making very vivid and alive and everything. So it's gonna be really cool. But yeah, so Shelley, I point the other way. Shelley, played by Inga.
I got this one. I can do this one.
Right there. Is a nun having a bit of a crisis of faith and deciding whether or not she wants to. She's at a crossroads in life, I guess is a good way to put it. Inga, thoughts? Thoughts, but not spoilers.
Yeah. Thoughts, but not spoilers. I think in a lot of ways, well, I mean, like my job telling people about the role that I'm playing, I'm like, I'll be playing a disillusioned nun. It's not that much of a stretch from current lifestyle choices. But it's, you know, I think that it is as being that a lot of people can relate with, though, that idea of kind of building up your whole life into thinking that the world works in this one way. And even if it doesn't always work that way, you're like, I just keep moving forward. And then at what point do you realize, or do you make that choice? Can you continue moving forward, or do you need to change?
I think,
and what makes those happen?
There's something so powerful about the script too, because obviously all four characters in the play are very different from each other, and they come from very different life experiences, but they're all really desperate to find their place in the world, and none of them quite fit in, and they haven't quite figured it out. And it's just to see this moment of convergence between these four people, I think is going to be really powerful and really interesting for people.
Yeah.
And plus we'll smell soup cooking on stage.
I know. I love smell-o-vision, which I know, like, actually, like, cooking, that's not smell-o-vision, but like that idea of embracing all of your senses on stage, I think creates a more memorable experience, as well as like making it a richer experience, because you draw from things that you remember more because of how they smell, you know, like I remember 100%. My grandma making, you know, chicken dumpling soup, you know, and that smell of like the dumplings and the chicken and all of the stock and everything going together.
Well, it's all like, there's something about cooking too, specifically, is like so powerful. And I love the way that it's used in this, because I mean, cooking uses all your senses, obviously, because you hear the sizzles of pans and the chopping of onions. And it's just like that, even the sounds, I think, have a certain, you know, association, comfort. Obviously smells, I have a very strong sense of smell, and I don't know, one of my favorite things is like when I start cooking dinner is like cut an onion and throw it in a pan, and you smell the onion cooking with butter or maybe bacon, which is a little tastier.
Yeah.
No.
I did check to see, and there are actually people watching, and they've got comments and questions. I just had to check because, you know, I don't know, vanity or whatever, just curious. So, and that's the question down there at the bottom. So, Liz, if you could be one kitchen utensil, what would you be and why?
A knife.
Oh dear.
Because I cut through the BS.
That's solid.
I would be a mooly grater, because mooly graters are like my favorite tool.
Okay.
They're very effective. You can grate peas, you can grate carrots, you can do all kinds of things with them.
I mean, any tool can be effective when applied correctly. That's what's great about things in the kitchen. Or wait, no, a frying pan because I'm so hot. I don't know.
Oh, nice.
So
see, mine aren't clever. I went straight to like, what have I been using the most during this quarantine time? And I've been making a lot of applesauce. So like my, as well as varieties of mashed potatoes and latkes and stuff. So my masher is like my number one tool right now. Gets things into small workable pieces.
Oh, see, that was good. That was good.
I pointed out that tonight would have also been the opening night of John Schmore's original adaptation of Hamlet, called Or Not to Be. It's a zombie adaptation. And I'm sorry that they are also not able to present that this evening. It actually premiered with then the Lord Liebert Theater Company. Janet says 3 years ago. It was actually 12 years ago, Janet. It was May of 2008. I remember very specifically because it was the year that a great president was elected. And
go on. Tell me more.
No.
Tell me more about the before times.
The before times. Yes. No,
before times, not long ago. I'd like to hear.
Loved Or Not to Be. The great story behind Or Not to Be is that originally the working title had been My Zombie Hamlet, which you can't say without laughing.
No,
and I went to the first read through and I didn't think it was funny. So I told John, I said, John, we have to change the title because this isn't funny. So we came up with Or Not to Be. But fortunately, by the time the show opened, it was quite campy and you did laugh quite a bit.
Yeah, I didn't see it the first time, so I was actually looking forward to seeing the U of O. I tried to get on the KCTA response person, but I think someone else beat me to it, but then it got, obviously, canceled anyway. Bummer. They'll bring it back.
I was highly disappointed that I still wouldn't get to see it. I hadn't moved here yet when it was put up before. And then all of the show dates were exactly the same as Grand Concourse. So maybe this means in the future I'll get to see it.
Oh yeah. So, win-win.
I'm not sure what the first win is, but win eventually.
Winning eventually. We'll win.
Yeah.
We'll win. It's gonna happen. I don't know. Okay. What?
Yeah. I mean, winning eventually,
So, what is, I don't want to say what's your first plan of what is the first project you would really want to work on once you could? You're like,
well, I hope I get to work on this one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And things like that would be made possible by, I'm gonna get it right? Nope. By donating to the theater. So not awkward. It gets better every time. I'm really impressed with them.
I think we're getting really good at it.
I have all new respect for Vanna White. That's all I'm saying.
Right? Well, and she's doing heels.
Yes,
she's doing heels and gowns. It's this thing. The struggle is very real.
That's a lot. I put on a dress, but I didn't put on heels.
I like it. I like the Silent Sky dress.
And you're wearing your Silent Sky dress.
I did. Too. And I copied Inga. So Inga showed up to our pre-show in the dress she wore for opening night of Silent Sky from how many years ago was that, Craig? Knower of all knowledge and dates of all shows.
At least 4 or 5, I think.
Okay.
Maybe 4. I don't know that I've lived here for 5 years yet.
Okay.
But it was the second Lauren Gunderson play that we did. The first being I and You.
Yes.
Revolutionists.
I and You was cool.
I love both of those plays. I actually love all of her writing, and people should stay tuned because rumor has it that Miss Gunderson might be doing a I'm Inspired by OCT video. So she should, because she's by far the most produced playwright on our stage in my tenure here. So
I was listening to a podcast, and I mean, this was a while ago. Is she getting a Broadway show? Was that happening? I hope so.
I don't think I've heard that. She's not had good luck in New York. It's been odd. I think she had her work done off Broadway.
Okay.
Who is it? Some audio broadcast publishing company, maybe Audible, has started producing theater. They're commissioning theater, and then they're using the Minetta Lane Theater, which is an off-Broadway house, and producing these scripts, and then they are broadcasting those productions. So even though they only have like a 8-week run in New York, because of the broadcast abilities, they end up being seen and heard by far more audiences, and then Audible can try and also sell the script.
I think that's what I heard. I was like, oh, that's really cool. I'm like, good for her. So I'm apparently directing my way through the Lauren Gunderson canon right now. So that and Shakespeare are the two canons that I'm going through, and I'm pretty excited about that. So
and for folks who don't know, that's the first time I got to work at OCT, and the first time we got to work together was on Silent Sky. And then we got to work together again with Revolutionists. So good. I could play Marie Antoinette for the rest of my life. Seriously.
I loved Revolutionists. I loved that show. And I love doing Silent Sky too. Like I don't know, like all of them. Lauren Gunderson writes fun plays that are fun to work with, and like the characters are all really interesting, and the dramaturgies are all, I don't know. I really enjoyed.
And I think if people are interested, there are two things going on right now. One, Lauren Gunderson has been doing these weekly interviews where she talks with other playwrights or other theater folk. And those I think you can probably find on YouTube if you look around. But also, I think somebody's production of I and You is being broadcast and might still be available. So one of the fun things about this experience we're all going through is we suddenly have access to lots of things that we might not have otherwise had access to because people are stuck at home and bored, and so they start creating.
No. My undergrad right now for their spring show, because obviously every university, every theater program everywhere has had to try to adjust for COVID, and their spring show was Revolutionists. And they did it like a Zoom version, and it's like, the costume designer, and the actors were apparently all over the country because they went home, and she mailed them costumes.
Holy
and
wow!
They're in the Zoom boxes, and they're TD designed backdrops for everybody. I mean, it's kind of cool, and I'm glad I was like, and it's such a great. I mean, it's just a great play. I love it, and I was oh, that was my undergrad. I love that play so much. They're so cute. So there was a tiny little, there was a mini Inga Marie Antoinette.
That's so fun.
That was cute. That was real cute. They're cute.
I like Haley Henderson has written Stab.
Yes.
She played, what was the character's name?
Tell us, Haley. It's all blurred together.
Whoever wasn't stabbed the Marquis de Sade, right? That's
she stabbed Robespierre.
Isn't it Charlotte?
Robespierre. Charlotte.
Yeah. She was great. I just loved the
graduate school.
I know.
She graduated.
Actor from the University of Washington, and we hope that we can get her to come back to the Oregon Contemporary Theater.
I have a feeling she's going to write a comment and let us know. Yep, there we go.
Really pretty.
She's committed.
Way around it.
Take a screenshot of that.
The contract's signed. She's
I don't know. That was fun. I don't know, but every Lauren Gunderson has been super fun to work on. And all
well, the history of it is fun too. The diving in and looking at least from my perspective as an actor, it's kind of different between the two. Silent Sky, Henrietta Swan Leavitt, I didn't really know much about, even though her impacts
Right.
are long lasting. Her name has not been as long lasting, and so it was more discovery and kind of unearthing, and then finding out about all of those women who were computers and what all that meant. But that's a kind of different path to creating, a show and the liveness of it versus the Revolutionists, where it's like, for the most part, you knew a lot about, I mean, especially Marie Antoinette, and she had been portrayed in a variety of ways. So
Not
then
always, not always flattering.
not always flattering. So sifting through that and finding like where is that I want to portray, and to realize your direction, and as well as the playwright's vision. Yeah.
Yeah, that was that was something too that I was thinking of, like, what is, when you approach a historical character, is your process ever any different than like a person that is completely made up? I mean, like you did with, Venus and Fur, that wasn't a real person, or the character from Curious Incident, and I'm sorry, I'm forgetting her name. And
I don't know, in one brain cell out the other.
And Shelley, like, yeah, these people, like, how do you like break down a role like Shelley differently than you would, let's say, Marie Antoinette?
I think it all comes down to the same thing, though, of the more you know about your given circumstances, the richer your truth can be. So with historical figures, it's a little bit easier to be like, this is what the world was like during this time, and here are these things, and this is what it's like to wear a corset. So it's not as direct a line to, for a nun in the Bronx, how that path to getting there. You have to, I think, do some research and find out what that path is to living that truth. So in some ways, doing a historical character is easier because it's like, it's already all there,
Right.
And then there's filling in what the playwright is trying to highlight and what the director is trying to shine a light on. Yeah.
Well, I think Shelley's path is really interesting too in the play, right? Because I don't know if that's spoiling too much, but to talk about her life. She's like a basketball player, and her mother was like this very outspoken feminist, and so I don't know. I was like, I'm so excited. Like, where does this show go, and how do we unpack this, and who are these characters going to be? I don't know. I'm just like excited about all that. That's all.
I don't know. It makes me wonder if Heidi was a basketball player. She was kind of tall, or is kind of tall.
She was. She's
shrunk in recent years.
She's very little now.
Appearance. The kitty. Hey.
But there was a question, and I think that this is a part of it. Like, you do all this research, and then you get into rehearsal, and there are all these other elements that help kind of illuminate what you're doing. So somebody had commented about the design of Silent Sky. Yeah, there it is.
Well, Steen is amazing. And
I did the projection work for that.
Bradley did the projections.
Okay.
Yeah, Bradley did the projections, and didn't Michael do the lights?
I think so.
And it was such a fantastic team of designers, like, whatever. And what a wonderful cast. This was like mine to screw up, right? Like, when you're working with wonderful people that are so talented, and like, I don't know, I always got like a little, and I'm not a particularly like, weepy person in general, but man, that last scene with the way the music came in and underscored that final monologue, and with the projections and the stars going, I got a little like, it was really, it ended up being, all the elements came together, I thought, in a really powerful way. And I was so excited about that. Apparently I'm excited about everything.
But no, it really did. It was so thoughtful, and from an actor's perspective of having to stand there and deliver that monologue in that moment, like being, having that railing, knowing that the epicness of space was happening behind me, and like all of it just created Well, not to be too cheesy, but to be honest, I've gotten to perform in Greece in amphitheaters, and it had that kind of feeling of magic and importance and of transcending time and expressing those universal truths. And it was, yeah, what that, I mean, it, to me, that's the goal of theater, to really have that maximum collaboration of everything coming together to create those perfect moments
Well, it's, I mean, the writing
that
too
happen at OCT.
Oh, that way.
Help us
No.
inspire you again.
Yes.
There we go. Well, I'll inspire.
I cut you off though to plug the theater. What were you saying, Liz?
Oh yeah, no, plug the theater. That's, I think, that's the point of this. No one needs to hear what I have to say. Well, I would just, it was a kind of about the writing of this too, and I mean how important, like, you know, good writing and good scripts are. And I mean, obviously that doesn't take away from anyone saying, and this is a wonderful thing about theater, right, is that we are collaborating with a group of artists, and it's so exciting to, like, because so if, like, you know, that production of Silent Sky would have been completely different if one element had been different, you know, like if Steen hadn't been the set designer, or, you know, you hadn't been playing Henrietta, or I wasn't, I mean, the show would be totally different. And like, that's like, isn't that one of the reasons we do this, is that, like, you know, alchemy that happens when you get this group of artists in a room together, and it's going to be different and special no matter, you know, what. But yeah, the script is rad, and something that, you know, Lauren Gunderson gets on a lot in her plays, and she's talked about this too. She's this fascination with the idea of legacy, you know, and what do you leave behind you? And that's what Silent Sky was about. And I think, you know, Revolutionist has similar themes, and I and You, and is it Book of Will, which I saw at OSF, and I want to direct that show super bad. I can't really do it at OSU, even though I'd like to, because it's kind of it's a show about, like, aging a little bit, and I think not necessarily the best show for college students. So maybe there'll be some theater that wants to do it someday.
You know my opinions about Shakespeare.
It's not Shakespeare. It's a Bill of Words.
No,
it's Lauren Gunderson. You love her.
Yes, I do. And ultimately, you know, when people ask me about directing, the secret to good directing is just to make sure you're working with a good script, and that you have a great cast and a good support team. And although, you know, really, if all of those pieces are in place, the director's job is done for the most part. And you have to coordinate them a little bit, but having really good actors and a really good script that's the first part.
Oh, absolutely.
So somebody asked a good question, which is, what are your bucket list shows? So what are your bucket list shows that you haven't done, shows you haven't done?
Oh,
I hate questions like this. I can't lie, because it's like my brain drops out of my head as soon as it happens. It's like, I don't know. I like what I've done.
I've forgotten every play. I mean, there's lots of things I want to do, like, but one of the kind of fun things about the work I've gotten to do at OCT is, you know, Craig is like, hey, do you want to do this script? And it's like something I wouldn't necessarily ever would have run across by myself or thought of, and sort of the surprises of that. It's like, again, like Silent Sky or Revolutionist. Like, I don't know if I would have, like, necessarily picked that up, but I loved, you know, and Grand Concourse, you know, these are things that get to be these wonderful gifts. But then, of course, you know, I want to direct my way through the Shakespeare canon. I think everybody knows that. So I got a lot. I got like 30 more shows to do. I'm going to do that though.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it. The last show I directed, King Lear, and on closing night, I'm going to die. And then that'll be the end of me.
You got it all planned out.
Yep.
At least
That's
you know
it.
how it's going to go. Yeah.
The end. That's it.
Okay, Inga, what's your bucket?
Well, and this might be influenced that I watched the Young Vic Streetcar last night. But I've never gotten to do any Tennessee Williams professionally.
Me either. I would like to direct some Tennessee Williams, so we should talk.
All right. I'm excited about that.
I saw a brilliant production of Streetcar Named Desire at Writers Theater, which is in Glencoe, Illinois, just north of Chicago. It's a great theater company. And I should be able to remember the director's name, but it's not going to come to me right now. But it was in a very small space, like a space almost the size of our old space, the Lord Liebert Theater space, and fully in the round. So I was literally I was 5 feet away from the bed upon which those people.
No spoilers.
You haven't read it yet. Get on it.
I learned afterwards that the actors playing Blanche and Stanley were actually husband and wife, because otherwise it would have been a little like, I hope there was an intimacy coach here. But it was pretty hot. It was pretty hot.
Wow.
Did you direct Suddenly Last Summer?
No, my friend Robert Benatti directed Suddenly.
Oh, okay. I didn't. Yeah, I would.
I do love that play.
Yeah.
I actually love a lot of Tennessee Williams. My mother,
No, me too.
My mother is kind of at that stage of life where she's giving everything away, which as a child I'm thankful for, because it'll be less for us to go through when everything is said and done. But she's got all of these odd little glass animals, in various places around her house. And I keep thinking I should collect them all and do a production of Glass Menagerie. Although Lord Liebert did do Glass Menagerie probably about 20 years ago.
I think it's okay to do it.
Oh yeah.
I think 20 years is enough to.
Yeah.
I've never done. I acted in Tennessee Williams and not.
What'd you do?
So
Did
what?
you play Laura?
No,
No.
I played Amanda, and it was 10 years ago.
Oh, that's right. That was up at Bag and Baggage.
That was a big baggage. I was directed by Marion Rossi. So it was really lovely. I'm going to say I felt I'd like to think I was a little young for the role 10 years ago.
You were still young for the role.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. But still, it was really good, challenging, fun. I mean, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful script and show, and the actress playing Laura was just, oh my God, heartbreaking, of course, so whatever.
Did you see
It's a good script.
The very interesting Broadway production of that show from probably, I don't know, about 10 years ago, where actors appeared, like they made entrances out of the couch, literally like coming out of the cushions of the couch. And
I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, actually Williams was after surrealism, right? That's what he was writing. And people tend to layer lots of realism on his work, but he was a surrealist.
There's definitely a dreamy quality and to a lot of that. And then we did Streetcar at OSU 5 or 6 years ago. And at first I was kind of like, I don't know if this is really good for, and I ended up doing the costumes for it. It was actually really lovely. And I mean, I was really proud of our students too, to handle, that kind of material. And I thought really it was really pretty good. I think, it's one of those plays kind of like Book of Will that's sort of about aging and things like that in a way that, might be better for people. But then again, like in the script, the way it's written, she's 29.
Yeah. Well, I have this vision for a production of Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, where the only characters that you see are Big Daddy, Brick, Maggie, maybe Big Mama, but the other characters are all just voices, and it's everything else
very atmospheric
and a voiceover, but otherwise you're focusing right in on Scenery 3. But I also in terms of my bucket list, and this might be a little bit of a spoiler because we might be doing this sometime in the near future, maybe, nothing's decided yet, but I have for a long time loved a play called Our Town.
It's my favorite play. I can't lie. It's my favorite play. I got to do it once as Emily, and I think it's magic, and I think it's poorly done. Well, it is underrealized by many groups who think that it's incredibly challenging, and yet also just simplistically, magically beautiful.
No, Thornton Wilder's one of the bucket list ones I have that's a similar Thornton Wilder existential. Like, I love Skin of Our Teeth. I love that play. It's one of my all-time favorites.
First year at Lord
I saw it.
Yeah,
I saw it.
It was the only show I programmed into that season. And
it's a good show.
I sometimes think about the things that we did in that small theater, and I think of Skin of Our Teeth and what's that Brecht thing?
Mother Courage.
It's like we did these things in a theater about as small as the living room I'm sitting in now, but we did it. It's amazing. So
the magic of theater.
Yeah.
Doesn't it inspire you to do something?
Right.
So my story with Our Town, unfortunately, is in high school. That's where I started doing theater, and my high school drama teacher, he really wasn't a drama teacher. He was originally a French teacher, but by the time I came along, he taught semantics and great books, and he was a fabulous teacher. And the faculty made him one year teach a drama course, and he kept getting very frustrated with the students in the course. So he decided he would take the course one term and produce Our Town with the students in the class. And he made me enroll for the class and cast me as the stage manager. But we then got to about a week before we should have gone into tech. I've learned all of those lines. And he comes up to me and he says, "Craig, if you really want to go on, we'll do it. But I don't want you to be embarrassed by the other students." And we didn't do it. It would have been hard, but I did learn all those lines.
That's a lot. Who did you do? I did Our Town in high school. Inga, did you do Our Town in high school? I feel like it's a universal experience. Okay.
In high school, I did Ennuy's Antigone, because why not? Suburban Minnesota. Should you tackle Antigone? Like, dumb. Anyway, but no.
My first show in high school was The Mad Woman of Chaillot, and I played Marshall the waiter.
My first high school show was The Mouse That Roared, and I played Scientist Number 2. Inga, your turn.
Oh, my first role in high school was I was Alice Blake in Up the Down Staircase.
Oh, see, these are good.
Yeah. And later, my drama teacher told me that was my one chance when I told her I was going to major in theater, and she laughed at me.
That was your one chance.
I am now.
That was your chance. You get more chances.
You do for sure. I bring it up in a lot of my classes. It's like, don't let one person's bad day decide the rest of your life.
That's good. I think that's really good advice.
Yeah. And she was having a lot of bad days in a row.
So I see Damara Cabrera just put down that Guys and Dolls was her first high school show. Ensemble. I love that show. Ensemble roles are sometimes the best. Probably my best acting experience ever was being in the ensemble of a production of Music Man.
I love the Can we do Music Man? OCT? No?
Yeah. How about Cabaret?
I have other musicals in mind.
He's a music man.
I was a Kit Kat Club girl in cabaret in college.
Oh, that's a good one.
It was a great ensemble role. You get to do all of the, like, you know, fun weirdness.
See, my problem, I love cabaret, but I feel like that Sam Mendes production ruined it for me because it's so perfect.
Yeah.
I don't
It's like, forget it. No more cabaret for anybody.
Yeah. I think it will always feel like somebody else is trying to ape him somehow. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, cabaret would be a good. I mean, if you were going to do a musical at OCT, I think cabaret, because it could be like a little cabaret.
Yeah.
You could maybe use like the second studio space and have cabaret style seating.
Maybe
Cocktails.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. See,
I'm the bartender officially, just so everyone knows. So I'm prepared to be the bartender.
What is that? Is that a thermos of Manhattans?
Yeah, it's kind of diluted out. Really, it melted a little bit.
I want one of those. Where do you get it?
Oh, that's one of my little vintage finds.
That's cute.
I like vintage barware.
Oh, nice. I like it.
I love seeing all these.
Miss Foxhill in Suddenly Last
People
Summer. That is, I would love to have seen.
Oh my God. I would do anything to see Janet Rose play Miss Foxhill in a production of Suddenly Last Summer.
My friend Jim Lovelace says hi. Jim is a fabulous actor who has been playing the role of airline steward for the last 20 some years. But he's just moved back to Seattle, or the Seattle metro area. So maybe we can get him down to do some theater in Oregon. I think his father lives in Eugene, so maybe a good reason to come to Eugene.
Remember, Jim, if you post a comment, that's a contract.
Yep. That's how that works.
People up, right and left.
That's fine. That's great. I don't know. I feel, I mean, I know like it's pretty easy to get bummed out right now, but I feel pretty like hopeful. I know that like, I know this is one thing I teach my students in theater history is like, you know, for whatever centuries and centuries, you know, whatever something tries to kill theater, whether it's through censorship or plague or anything else. And for some reason, you know, like the spirit of Dionysus, theater rises out of the ashes and comes back. So,
well, part of my theory is that we've all been so isolated, inspired, fun. We've all been so isolated that I think people are going to eventually want to and be eager to come back and have shared stories and shared experiences. Frankly, I'll be honest, I have watched a few Zoom things because I feel like I need to immerse myself a little bit in that medium because it's going to be with us for a little bit. Mm-hmm. I have yet to watch NT Theater live or Broadway HD. I should and I will. I just haven't because I go to the theater to be with other people and to, you know, at OCT, I spend more time watching the audience than I do the show, especially if it's a show I've directed, because by the time it's open, I've seen it too many times. But you know, I'm fascinated to see how audiences react and what they're doing.
No, it's the
that's Streetcar. Sorry.
Nope. Talk about Streetcar.
That was the first one that I had watched. That wasn't like a Zoom thing or something that was specific for this.
I want to see that.
Watching canned theater, and it is incredibly performed. And I had to adjust after like the first 20 minutes to just sort of aching to be in that room and to feel that liveness. Like we had, you know, been watching some other videos for Shadowbox earlier, and it was like, yeah, that there's something so magical about witnessing with other people.
Yeah.
And that shared experience. And it's not the same, even though the performances are still brilliant and the script is still brilliant and all of these things, there's still things that make your heart sing. Your heartbeat doesn't actually sync up with other people's until you're in the room together.
Now it's well, and it's what it is in that moment, and there's no other moment. I mean, you know, like
right.
we are sharing something in a real physical space in real time, and that is a very, very, it's a special and truly unique experience. Like it has to be. Every performance is unique. And, just like a production will change entirely if one person on that team is different. Every performance is going to be a little bit different if one person in the audience was a different person. We all bring.
Or even if that one person had a different day.
Yeah.
There was a really brilliant production of Our Town, done in New York about probably 10 years ago now, because the person who told me to see it was the former executive director of the Eugene Symphony, Paul. And I wouldn't have gone seen it had he not told me, but I did. And it was actually the same director who directed the production of Streetcar that I saw at Writers Theater. He's a brilliant director. And he had the actors kind of in rehearsal clothes. Like it looked like they had just worn their own clothes to the theater. I'm sure that that's not true. I'm sure the designer had chosen the clothes for them, but it felt like that. And, it was a New York theater. And, there's a line at some point where the stage manager looks at his watch and says, oh, it's the 8:15 or whatever, the time was. And the actor actually waited until a subway car passed by. Because in a lot of those New York theaters, you can hear the subway cars pass by, right? Mm-hmm. So he just took his time, and that line did not come out until a subway car had passed over that theater or under that theater. And that was just one small example of, they really had taken advantage of the things around them to make that production unique to that space and that experience. But
chef kiss.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is, that ephemeral moment. And then it's, trapped in that one audience's memory for that one time. And maybe you come and see it again, and then your memories kind of blend. But at the same time, like each night, it's its own unique and beautiful thing.
I know I have, part of this, I don't know if this happens a lot. I mean, Craig, you get these kinds of questions. I do certainly at OSU, students and maybe their parents being like, oh, is there a DVD of this for grandma? And I'm like, I'm kind of, we can't film things anyway, for copyright. But it's like, no. And I wouldn't want it recorded. I always feel like you see it or you don't, and you're there or you're not there.
No, and I think the different mediums, and it's actually why I have been paying attention to the Zoom thing as a medium, because I do think we have to, as theater people, if we're going to work in that medium, approach it differently. And there are things to be learned and skills to be worked to make it better. It's still going to be what it is, which is, but it can, you can have better levels of it. But yes, no, I agree that, I love seeing how an audience impacts the actors and vice versa. One of the saddest things about this experience we're going through, for me, was our last performance of The Roommate was on March 15th, a Sunday matinee. And the audiences that last weekend were very small. Even though the show was mostly sold out, people were staying away. We hadn't yet gone to stay home, but we probably should have. And the Friday and Saturday night performances, I think, were quite good. And I wish I had gone to see one of them. The actors felt really, really good about them. Unfortunately, that Sunday matinee, no fault of the actors, but there was only like 30 people in the audience. And I think people were distracted, and, we were all starting to think, what are we doing? What's going on? And it was just weird, but it was real, and it was what happened. I felt bad for the actors that that's the performance they ended on. And it's definitely a first world problem in terms of saddest things, but so.
But no, to have all of that build up, to have had those evenings with full houses, and it's like getting on that roller coaster ride. And yeah, Kelly, the roommate was awesome.
I know, they were so great.
But you get on that ride and you expect to have all the ups and downs. Like you expect to have the quiet Friday night audience. You expect to have the really unexpectedly lively Sunday matinee crowd, and you expect to have, in that case, whatever the run is, 3 or 4 weeks to experience that. And as an actor, you're expecting to get to have that 3 or 4 week journey of deepening your practice and exploring that character and having that final element of the audience help you do that. And so it feels like strange stealing to have that taken away, or to still do it without having that full experience of all of those bodies there after that was what was anticipated.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, it's that, the one thing theater can do, right, is respond to the weirdness and the strangeness of that moment in mid-March. And right, like, I think the people in that audience, all 30 of them, are going to remember what that felt like,
Oh, yeah.
One of my most strongest memories of the whole 9/11 experience, I was living in Seattle at that time, and I had tickets prior to 9/11 happening to see what I think was like a Thursday evening performance at Intiman Theater Company. I don't remember what the show was. I do know, I'm pretty sure the artistic director, who at that time was Bartlett Sher, had directed it. And they had closed the theater down after 9/11 happened. Of course, everything shut down, right? And this was going to be the first performance with an audience back at the theater after 9/11. And probably only half the people who had tickets showed up. And before the show began, Bartlett Sher and the actors walked out across the stage, and he said, we need to get back to our lives. We need to get back to doing what we do. We know this is hard for you. It's hard for us. But we're going to try. And he gave the actors permission to stop if they needed to. But it was very true. We all needed that. And, that was kind of the first, for me, that was like the first re-entry into normalcy, or back to the life we'd had 5 days before that, right? It was a weird experience. And this feels like a prolonged version of that somehow,
Well, yeah, because we're separated from each other and fearful in varying degrees. The enemy isn't a person, it's a virus in people, but it's still scary, and to varying degrees for different people, and science, and it's weird. And we probably will need to have similar disclaimers when we get back to it, which will.
I think, was it Inga? We were talking when I had that sort of, I don't know, I got a little weirdly emotional with the thought that, like, can you imagine, I know things are better. I will know that it's like, we're normal again when I am sitting in the audience of a theater surrounded by people and just being comfortable.
Shoulder
to shoulder. And
front row, actors spitting on your face.
Well,
Life is normal.
And I have a feeling there's going to be a period where there are plays and there's not a lot of people there. There's going to be a transition, I think.
We're going to have to do small cast plays that lend themselves to
nobody touches, and everyone is.
We were working on one right when we were in rehearsal for A Doll's House Part 2, just as this all started, and actually, it's the perfect show to reintroduce. Those people don't want to touch each other. They don't want to be within 5 feet of each other. So.
And in order to see that show, nope, still the wrong finger. Man, an hour and I still haven't gotten it down. In order to see that show, you have to donate.
Go to this.
And if you're already here, you probably already subscribe or follow or all of the things.
But it would be rad if you invited your friends.
Yeah.
And share this with people. Because the thing is, like, even if you out there have friends that are like, I don't really see theater, or I don't like theater, or maybe you don't have friends like that. But you know what? I bet you do. Even I do. And
to be honest, my brother's never liked anything I've done. But after coming to see me at I did it! OCT Theater, he decided that he might like shows. And he might like some of them that I'm in. Just saying, folks.
That everyone
OCT Theater.
And also, because we haven't done a shout out about it yet, we should put a shout out there that we have a lovely matching gift from Kurt Lind and Linda Ettinger.
Which is rad.
Radical. They are matching all new gifts to the theater up to $10,000. So you can double your impact by making your gifts today.
There will also be a trivia night on June 3rd. Hosted by the amazing Tara and Chelsea. You shouldn't miss out. Be sure to check out and find out more about it. Details are on OCT's website.
Absolutely.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening to us prattle on about theater while having cocktails.
Delicious rosé in our fanciest opening night attire. Thank you, Craig. Craig, where are you?
Recycle, but here we are.
I'm assuming I was the stage manager, so I was.
Oh, okay.
If I had a black version of this, I would have worn that. But
there we go. You sillies. Well,
cheers to everybody.
Thank you for being here, and cheers to you. And please support OCT. And there you go.
I did it.
Also that.